morning, folks. You see a lot of videos, blogs, people writing, waxing theoretical, and so on and so forth. One of the things people talk about is worms, composting. So I just wanted to share a few thoughts here. Here's a nice little pile I just threw out. It's not a pile anymore, folks. Compost pile, I agree entirely with Ruth Stout and many others. Absolutely no need for it. Now that I've spread it out and I'm cooling it down instead of piling it up and heating it up, you don't see the nice steam that you compost people would have been excited about. But it was a nice steaming pile and I've spread it out. This particular batch has a nice little, there's some cucumbers and cabbage leaves and quite a few peppers and tomatoes. And I saw an avocado. All just tossed on the ground whole. I did put some cardboard there where the grass was heavier. This has been pretty much killed with driving on it, I think, mostly. And I think this mat is going to be thick enough. But if it's not, the next layer and then the wood chips on top. I know 4 inches, 4 or 5 inches, 6 inches absolutely will stop grass without cardboard if it's properly mowed down. So anyway, that nice steam would have got you guys all excited, and you would have piled it up in a big pile, and you would have mixed in this, and you would have done that. You would have ran to the post office and picked up your bacteria mix, and you would have poured it in there, and you would have heated it all up and killed everything. Killed all the bacteria, killed all the worms. This, it's just fresh. This is less than a week from the horse's stomach. But there is, well, somehow, I'm not quite sure, they come, they are there, you don't see them until you give them the proper conditions, but you'll see red with this area, if you had left it in that pile, would slowly over time, a long time, would be invaded by regulars and would be broken down into nice beautiful stuff. But we've gotten through most of the good stuff that we've got in our pile, and we have to deal with this new fresh stuff. So this is where we compost. We want a garden here, so we bring the stuff here, and we put it here where we want it, well, the dirt. We don't drive it to Budapest. We don't haul it to Miskolc. We don't put it back there and make a pile and turn it 27 times in 18 days and water it and put bacteria on it and kill it all with the heat and throw in some whatever else you think you got. You put it right here where you want the dirt. This will never be moved again, and it'll be dirt by next spring. It'll be this area, this level may not be pure worm castings, but it'll be very close, and it'll be feeding. So it's doing two things. Right now, if we did nothing else, it's softening, it's doing exactly what the wood chips might do. So it's a sacrificial layer at this point in time. Because you see, I just put that, and this was much the same, although it was kind of drier. But it doesn't take long for the sun to come in there, and it'll kill or destroy or chase away the good stuff, and they'll go down. That's why I put it thick enough that there's an area that they can go to below it, which is that soft, moist, full of food, right? So this is not impregnated with worms yet, but it's ideal conditions to get that, and bacteria, of course, but we can't see the bacteria, so we just say worms. Same as the word dirt is. Dirt can be good dirt, bad dirt, right? Dirt is another term we use. You have to just think about how I'm using the word dirt when I say it. Anyway, so then we're going to get some stuff like this in the pile. And we put that on top. Now this is the stuff I'm raving about in the pile. It's literally my little flat spade. I use it to scoop them up, so I try not to kill them. Try to always come from the bottom of the pile and pick it up, rather than jam in there and cut them in half and whatever. This literally 10, 12, 15, 20 worms per scoop. Little worms, big fat worms. Obviously there's cocoons, there's eggs going to come. So again, we've created that sacrificial layer on top here, unfortunately. But we put that 8, inches deep, so the guy's got a place to go down. The fellas, Mike and Bob, we call them, microbes and the worms, and the sun's going to bake that. But you see, now our next layer, I'm trying to do it so I get the chips on top, because I don't mind sacrificing this. It does have some those nice big white grubs. Have you seen the size of their poops? They're almost as big as they are, and they will break this down, and I'll have to put more on maybe one day. But so I don't mind even a little bit of grass or weed seeds. There's a little see a little weed there. I don't mind him, because this is going to choke it all off. This is going to make this stuff. It's going to dry out here before I get chips on it, the top inch or so. It's late. It's November, first week of November, so we're not getting the blazing hot sun of summer, nor the length of day of, right? So it's less damaging. It's less damaging to the. We're going to turn it less. We're going to do less work, less inputs, less damage to the guys that are actually going to do the work here. So this is our actual top sacrificial layer, and like I say, we don't mind having that as a sacrificial layer, because it's nice. When it rains, it holds it, it absorbs it, it pushes it down. When the dirt below dries out, it'll release it, keeps it, moderates that, all that. Actually, the wetter this stuff is, the quicker it'll break down, and really, you know, the less wet it gets, the better. Except for, of course, we want the moisture, so I'm not gonna complain about the rain on it. But so I don't like to say it's an ideal. It is the ideal cover, without question. There's no weeds gonna come out of this. You're not gonna have oak trees or sycamore trees or hickory trees come sprouting out of this. You might get the odd walnut. You see them in it. There's, whatever. This you don't really want to leave. I wouldn't want to leave this all winter. It would just be a crime. I'd cover it with straw or newspaper, cardboard, anything. Leaves would be better, but we've got that. So then, this is our inoculant, if you want to call it, this 8-inch layer with probably hundreds of worms per square meter. They're going to go whamming down into this beautiful stuff and start working on that, and the rain's going to come, and it's going to trickle. Gravity is our friend. Gravity, number one rule of the universe, almost. Physical law, anyway. Gravity. Stuff goes downhill, folks. You don't need the wet cardboard. If you put it on the ground, it'll get wet. This you can see, I could plant in that. There's no reason I couldn't plant in that right now, and I could, and I would. I'll show you an area. Sometimes the boss's manure has even this stuff. He's got some spoiled grain, and he throws it on top of the pile, and it mixes it in. I'll take you over right there. And this is what happens. You get oats coming up. So we've kind of done the reverse here. I did the same, the dry after it dries out, the springy, strawy, hay stuff, then some real good dirt. And I knew I wouldn't have enough chips or enough time, and the guys were throwing this stuff on the trailer for me for 1 week. I got to get back on that program, and I just was trying to use it where I wanted to, like where it needed to go. So unfortunately, this is my main goal here, from the walnut and the acacia forest there down to here. This is our largest one chunk of garden area. I want to get it done and have it complete, and then any extra we finish is a bonus, right? So unfortunately I took some of that nice stuff, and I used it as my undercoating, and of course the oats couldn't sprout. It was a waste, but I just wanted to concentrate and finish that. It's not a huge loss. The worms will eat the grain, seeds, but that'll be nice. I snuck in 3 rows of potatoes here. I just kind of took a shovel and shoved it in, and then shoved the potato down, basically like pushed it forward. Didn't really do any digging. Pushed it forward and shoved the potato in there, because I don't really want to have to fight this strawy, hay stuff next spring to try and plant. So if the potatoes come up, that's great. If they don't, we'll have to figure out something else there. And this, I'd like to finish this whole area and get some more potatoes in there. I got them. Can't eat them all. So anyway, that's the. I think that's a big thing. Growing grain in your new garden. Grain, soybeans. You know, you can plant beans for the nitrogen fixing. I don't think this stuff needs any nitrogen fixing. At this point in time, we don't need to fix any nitrogen into this. Oh, you know. But the thing is, the roots going down there, it gets that bacteria, the action between the worms, the roots, the plant roots, the soil, the bacteria, gets all that speeded up. So if you can't do anything else, if you don't got wood chips, I think this is a good. And you know what I would do? I would have some grain with me, and I'd fill part of the trailer, and I'd throw some grain in, throw it in thick. And I'd throw some more manure in. It seems to grow better when it's, rather than trying to throw it on top, especially of the dry, strawy stuff. Like, yeah, I tried it several ways. I tried to put it right on this stuff, but it got cold there for a while and it didn't sprout or whatever, and then I probably choked it out. But this stuff was laced. You can see where that load. And this other, I threw grain on it. It just, the birds eat it maybe or whatever, I don't know. It's just not conducive to germination, so it's harder to do. You could sprout it before you plant. So this is the thing here. There's this area. It's kind of a crime. I did this over a month ago. It's been exposed to the sun. See how the top is all crusty but very. It's not even an inch. It's only about a half an inch. You know, we got some hunks of clay too, and whatever. That'll all get homogenized. We did some abuse to our livestock here, but we'll cover it with chips. And I just sprinkle a little bit here and there of just a little touch here and there of volcanic rock dust to feed the bacteria. We're not trying to feed the plants, because the plants can't get it until the bacteria deal with it, and the bacteria give it to the fungi, and the fungi give it to attach to the roots of the plants, and so on and so forth. But we just want to, you know, this is just pure horse manure. And the boss feeds them whatever, you know. He feeds them oats and hay and whatever, so you know that it's from depleted soil, so you know it doesn't have everything you need in it. So just to get the bacteria action happening, we sprinkle a little bit on there. So this is how you compost. You don't turn it, you don't water it, you don't flip it around and move it 17 million times and spray bacteria on it and heat it up to 140 degrees and kill everything, and then take the good stuff and put it on the outside of the pile and put the bad stuff on the inside to make sure you kill all the stuff on the outside. No, you just lay it down. This is where you want dirt. Boom. Put it down, put some good stuff on top. Put some wood chips, leave it over winter. You know, you could do this in the spring, you could do it in the summer. You wouldn't be able to plant right away, but you could. You know, I could, if it was May 1st or something, I could go like this, do all this, go like this, come down to here, just put this wood chips on yesterday, fill that hole with cheap manure or compost or dirt, anything that would support life, and grow a squash there. Or I could make a row, same sort of a thing, maybe, you know, a little bit of labor the first year, of course, and put down, you know, maybe a little inch wide strip, half an inch deep of good dirt, and you could plant whatever, cabbage, cauliflower, beans, beets. I mean, the thing that. Or you could just plant soybeans like that, or to break it up, to get something until it was ready the following spring. You see what I'm saying? So you have to do a little bit of extra work. It's going to make everything better. You could grow corn, feed your chickens the corn. Grow soybeans, feed it to your chickens. Eat it yourself. Do whatever you want with it. Grow cabbages, do whatever in those little, I'm going to call that spot planting. But it won't be necessary here. I'll just peel this back and plant directly in a good dose of volcanic rock dust and cover it back up. Wait 2 or 3, 65, 70 days, 83 days, whatever, and then have sweet corn here. That's the idea of things. That's the way you compost, folks. Just, if you don't need to do it, why do you do it? You're not helping anything. You're every time you turn the compost pile off gas, nitrogen, you know, if you do have some life, you expose it to the air, and the sun, the wind, you know, you're gonna lose a certain amount of your bacterial life if you haven't already killed it with the heat. So, yeah, like here, I mean, this less than 24 months ago, this was a jungle. You couldn't walk through here with a chainsaw, an axe, a scythe, scissors, saw, handsaw. You couldn't get through it. It was thick, dense stuff. Even 16 months ago. No, even this spring, we'd mulched it down, well, not with a mulcher, like a shredder they call them here. It's like a forestry mulcher, right? You've seen that machine. This spring it all came up, beautiful thick stuff, right? Trees and bushes and vines and blackberries and everything, right? So it was only in May that this was not really a forest almost, right? And then I worked away on it all summer long with the blade attachment on the string trimmer. String never would have cut it. So like I said, from forest to dirt in 30 months. If you plan it right, the 30 months is going to be a spring growing season. No, like I said, again, that's where I guess I was going with that, forest. So traditional knowledge or wisdom, whatever, would say, okay, you've got a forest, you've dealt with the trees. Now, if you want a garden, this is always the rationale. Oh, the land's never been worked. We need to break it up. This land is, like I said, it got all the advantages of being a sort of a forest, shrubbery, dense thicket, whatever you want to call it, for 20 years, right? We know it's hard. I never shoved a shovel in it, but we know it's hard because we probably caused some damage by cutting those trees off and not immediately covering it with something other than just a little bit of grass. Well, we did cover it, so we didn't probably do as much damage as others might have done because we mulched it and just left it right where it was. Everything that was here, we pretty much left. We didn't burn anything. We didn't haul it away and burn it. And then, you know, the new stuff came up. The grass started coming. That wasn't so much here because it couldn't survive in the forest and so on. But we know that this land is good dirt. We know that there's bacteria, there's worms, there's all those things there. They just haven't been given a good dose of, you know, they haven't been given a gourmet meal for 20 years. So those guys are going to come up. The guys that are in here are going to go down. Everybody's going to mix it up. This soil, I'll probably never see it again in my life. Eventually, you know, this will just be a soft underneath. This is going to, some of this stuff, there isn't much room for it to compact, or not compact, but decompose, because it is almost fully decomposed. But certainly the 8-inch layer of strawy stuff is going to, you know, virtually disappear. Maybe a couple of millimeters of worm casting, right? So it's going to go down. Eventually, all that soil is all going to, there's nutrients and minerals here. You know, it is depleted, of course, but there's stuff here that isn't in the horse manure, I'm sure. So, and we'll add the rock dust, and it'll all get churned up by our trillions and trillions of bacteria, and thousands or hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of worms here. This is how composting is done. Oh yeah, sorry, I never finished that. You got a forest, you dealt with the trees. What do they tell you next? Oh, you got to plow it. Organic farming, oh, you got to plow it, you got to till it, you got to break it up. You got to get a thing in there and rip it up deep. Get a get a, whatever they call them, those deep plows that go down 2 feet, and they cut a little trench every 2 feet wide or so, and they think that they're aerating the soil. They're not aerating, they're just wasting their time, because it's just going to get compacted again, because they continue to do the wrong practices above it. So all that, so what they would say in a smaller scale is you got to double dig this. You just dig here down a shovel depth, throw it in a wheelbarrow or whatever, and then dig down the next 6 inches, turn that over, and then dig the top 6 inches here, throw it over there, break up that 6 inches below it, and keep going like that. And then when you get done, you throw your last one in here, right? That's your double dig method. Well, this is all tree roots. You'd be probably 10 times more labor double digging this, and you'd need an axe, and you need a full-time guy sharpening your axe, cutting, chopping roots and stuff here. Probably 10 times more labor involved than just putting this stuff on top, and the next layer, and the wood chips. Maybe 5 times, whatever. It's the same amount of labor. So I've done the double dig here, folks, with that, and I'm making compost. So you guys are going to turn 27 times in 18 days, and then you're going to have to move it again to where you need it. We just make it right in place. The worms, that's what they do. The bacteria do that. That's what they're here for, folks.